The sleek, silver shuttle glided through the radiant nebula, its iridescent hull reflecting the cosmic ballet of stars and gas clouds. Inside, Zhou Chen clutched her datapad, her knuckles white as she reviewed the orientation materials for the 1000th time. The Galactic Academy loomed ahead, a sprawling complex of crystalline spires and bioorganic domes perched on an asteroid in the heart of the Andromeda Galaxy. Zhou's heart raced. She was about to become the first human ever admitted to the most prestigious center of learning in the known universe. The weight of representing her entire species pressed down on her shoulders like a gravity suit, dialed up to 11. Approaching docking bay, the ship's AI announced in a soothing tone, "Please prepare for atmospheric adjustment and gravity stabilization." As the shuttle nestled into its berth, Zhou took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. The airlock hissed open, revealing a kaleidoscope of alien life forms bustling about the arrival terminal. Tentacles, wings, multiple limbs, and appendages Zhou couldn't even name moved in a dizzying dance of motion. A tall, willowy being with shimmering blue skin glided forward. "Welcome, Zhou Chen of Earth," it said, its voice a melodic hum. "I am Professor Xylith, Dean of Interspecies Relations. We are most pleased to have you join us." Zhou bowed slightly, remembering her cultural training. "Thank you, Professor. I'm honored to be here." As they walked through the terminal, Zhou felt hundreds of eyes, and other sensory organs, upon her. Whispers and clicks in a dozen languages reached her ears. "Is that the human? So fragile looking. I heard their planet is mostly poison, and they drink acid for fun. Why did the council allow this?" Zylith's antenna twitched, clearly picking up on the chatter. "Pay them no mind, Zhou. Your presence here is unprecedented, but I assure you, you have earned your place." They reached a hovering platform that whisked them through the Academy's sprawling campus. Zhou's eyes widened as she took in the impossible architecture and advanced technology on display. Holographic signs flickered in multiple languages, guiding students to classes with names like quantum entanglement ethics and psychic surgery for non-corporeal beings. "Your living quarters are in the diversity wing," Zylith explained. "We've made every effort to accommodate your unique biological needs." The platform deposited them at the entrance to a gleaming tower. Inside, Zhou found a small but comfortable room. To her relief, it contained a bed that actually looked like a bed, along with a desk and what appeared to be a standard food synthesizer. "I hope you'll find everything satisfactory," Zylith said. "Your orientation begins tomorrow at the first rising of the binary suns. Do you have any questions?" Zhou's mind raced with a million queries, but she settled on the most pressing. "Professor, why me? Why was I chosen?" Zylith's luminescent eyes seemed to soften. The Council was impressed by humanity's rapid advancement and adaptability. "Your species went from primitive technology to faster-than-light travel in a remarkably short time. We believe you have much to teach us, even as you learn from us." With that, the professor bid Zhou farewell, leaving her alone with her thoughts. She unpacked her few belongings, taking comfort in the familiar items from home, a holo of her family, a well-worn copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which seemed oddly prescient now, and a small potted succulent, a piece of earth in this alien world. As night fell, or what passed for night on an asteroid, Zhou lay in bed, unable to sleep. The gravity felt slightly off, and strange sounds echoed through the building. Tomorrow, she would begin classes alongside beings whose biology and culture were utterly foreign to her. The enormity of the task ahead threatened to overwhelm her. But then she remembered why she was here. Humanity had fought hard for this opportunity, proving themselves worthy of a place among the stars. Zhou was not just a student, she was an ambassador for her entire species. With that thought steeling her resolve, she finally drifted off to sleep. The morning came far too quickly, announced by a soft chime and a gradual brightening of the room's ambient lighting. Zhou dressed in the standard academy uniform, a form-fitting jumpsuit that adjusted to her body temperature and movement. She couldn't help but notice how it emphasized her alienness, her very human curves standing out among the varied physiologies of her fellow students. The cafeteria was a sensory overload. Stations dispensed everything from glowing energy cubes to writhing tentacle pasta. So cautiously approached a synthesizer, relieved to find it could produce a reasonable approximation of scrambled eggs and toast. As she looked for a place to sit, a booming voice called out, "Hey, Earthling, over here." Zoe turned to see a massive, rock-like being waving what she assumed was an arm. Next to it sat a creature that seemed to be made entirely of shimmering gas contained within a translucent exoskeleton. Hesitantly, Zoe approached their table. "Hi, I'm Zoe," she said, trying to keep the nervousness out of her voice. "Greetings. I am Korg of the Petrosapiens," the rock being rumbled. "And this is Vaporia of the Nebulons. We saw you looking lost and thought you could use some company." "That's really kind of you," Zoe said, sitting down. "I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed." Vaporia's gaseous form rippled in what Zoe hoped was a friendly manner. "Perfectly understandable. The Academy can be intense even for those of us from established member worlds. You're the first of your kind here." As they chatted, Zoe began to relax. Despite their alien appearances, Korg and Vaporia were students just like her, dealing with exam stress and navigating complex social hierarchies. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion at a nearby table. A group of reptilian students were loudly discussing the human presence at the Academy. "It's a disgrace," one hissed. "Humans are barely out of their gravity well, and they think they can compete here. They'll be gone within a cycle, mark my words." Zoe felt her face flush with anger and embarrassment. Korg's crystalline eyes narrowed. "Ignore them," he rumbled. "The Draconi think they're superior to everyone." But the damage was done. As Zoe headed to her first class, doubt gnawed at her. What if they were right? What if she wasn't ready for this? The lecture hall for Introduction to Multiversal Physics was designed like an amphitheater, with hovering platforms arranged in concentric circles. Zoe found a seat trying to ignore the stares and whispers around her. The professor, a being of pure energy contained within a humanoid force field, materialized at the center of the room. "Welcome, students. I am Dr. Lux. Today, we begin our exploration of the fundamental forces that shape not just our universe, but the infinite realities beyond." As the lecture progressed, Zoe's earlier doubts began to fade. The concepts were mind-bending, but not incomprehensible. Her studies on Earth had prepared her better than she'd realized. When Dr. Lux posed a question about quantum entanglement, Zoe found herself raising her hand. "Ah, yes, the human student," Dr. Lux said, a note of curiosity in their vibrating voice. "Please share your thoughts." Zoe took a deep breath. "Well, based on the principles you've outlined, couldn't we theoretically use quantum entanglement to communicate instantaneously across vast distances, regardless of traditional space-time limitations?" A murmur ran through the class. Dr. Lux's energy form pulsed brightly. An astute observation. "In fact, this is the basis for our current faster-than-light communication systems." "Well done, Zoe Chen of Earth." Pride swelled in Zoe's chest. She'd held her own in her very first class. As the students filed out, several approached her, asking questions about Earth and her thoughts on the lecture. The rest of the day passed in a blur of new experiences and information. By the time Zoe returned to her room that evening, her mind was buzzing with excitement and exhaustion in equal measure. As she prepared for bed, a soft chime indicated an incoming message on her datapad. It was from Professor Xylith. "Zoe, I hope your first day went well. The faculty has been impressed by your performance and adaptability. However, we've received some concerns from a few students about your presence here. I assure you, these are in the minority. Nonetheless, I feel it's important to warn you that you may face some additional challenges in the coming days. Remember why you're here. Humanity is counting on you. Rest well." Zoe sat on the edge of her bed, conflicting emotions warring within her. She'd made it through day one, even excelled in some areas. But it was clear that not everyone was happy about her presence at the Academy. As she drifted off to sleep, Zoe made a silent promise to herself and to Earth. She would prove the doubters wrong. She would show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she would face them head-on. Little did Zoe know, the true tests were yet to come. Forces beyond her imagination were already in motion, and her presence at the Galactic Academy would set off a chain of events that would change the fate of entire civilizations. But for now, she slept, her dreams filled with swirling nebulae and the infinite possibilities that awaited her among the stars. Cultural clashes. The following weeks at the Galactic Academy were a whirlwind of new experiences for Zoe. Each day brought fresh challenges and revelations as she navigated the complex web of interstellar academia and alien social norms. In Xenobiology 101, Zoe found herself the subject of study as much as a student. Professor Glix, a gelatinous being with multiple eye stalks, often used her as an example during lectures. "Now class, observe the human's respiratory system," Glix burbled, projecting a holographic image of Zoe's lungs. "Note the inefficiency compared to the aurelian gas exchange membranes we studied last week." Zoe felt her cheeks burn as the class turned to stare at her. She raised her hand hesitantly. "Professor, while our lungs may seem primitive, they've allowed us to adapt to a wide range of atmospheric conditions. Isn't versatility also a form of efficiency?" Glix's eye stalks swiveled in surprise. "An interesting perspective, Zoe. Perhaps there's more to human physiology than meets the eye, or eye stalk, in my case." As the class broke into discussion groups, Zoe found herself partnered with Zlob, a slug-like creature with iridescent skin. "I've been meaning to ask," Zlob oozed curiously, "is it true that humans voluntarily ingest neurotoxins for pleasure?" Zoe blinked in confusion before realization dawned. "Oh, you mean like coffee and alcohol? They're not really neurotoxins, more like mild stimulants or depressants. They can alter our mental state slightly, but they're generally safe in moderation." Zlob's eye stalks waved in fascination. "Remarkable. On my world, deliberately altering one's neurochemistry would be seen as a form of madness." These cultural misunderstandings were a daily occurrence. In the Academy's vast arboretum, Zoe nearly caused a diplomatic incident when she absent-mindedly plucked a leaf from a nearby plant. "Stop!" cried a horrified voice. A willowy being with bark-like skin rushed over. "That's a sentient viridian. You just assaulted a fellow student." Mortified, Zoe apologized profusely to the viridian, who accepted her explanation with rustling graciousness. From that day on, she was much more careful about interacting with the diverse flora on campus. Despite these occasional missteps, Zoe found herself slowly adapting to life at the Academy. Her friendship with Korg and Vaporia deepened, and she began to form connections with other students curious about Earth and its sole representative. One evening, as Zoe sat in the common area struggling with a particularly complex astrometric calculation, she felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She looked up to see Ixil, an Arthenian with delicate insectoid features. "Excuse me," Ixil chittered softly, "but I couldn't help noticing you seem frustrated. Perhaps I could assist. Spatial mathematics is a specialty of my species." Grateful for the help, Zoe accepted. As Ixil walked her through the problem, explaining the underlying principles with remarkable clarity, Zoe felt a surge of appreciation for the collaborative spirit she was encountering. "Thank you so much," Zoe said as they finished. "I was ready to give up." Ixil's antennae twitched in what Zoe had learned was a sign of pleasure. "It was my honor. Your species' determination is admirable. Many would have abandoned such a challenging course of study long ago." As word of Zoe's resilience and adaptability spread, more students sought her out. They were curious about Earth's history, culture, and technological development. Zoe found herself becoming an impromptu ambassador, organizing informal Earth culture nights where she shared music, art, and even attempted to recreate human foods using the synthesizers. These events weren't always successful. Her attempt to introduce pizza led to confusion among species with vastly different digestive systems. The concept of melted dairy products was particularly baffling to many. You consume solidified animal secretions that have been exposed to high temperatures, asked a horrified Gloopy whose species reproduced via spores. So couldn't help but laugh. When you put it that way, it does sound pretty weird, but trust me, it's delicious. Despite these cultural hurdles, Zoe's openness and willingness to learn endeared her to many of her fellow students. However, not everyone was thrilled with the humans' growing popularity. Drex, the Draconi student who had dismissed humans on Zoe's first day, watched her progress with mounting frustration. To him, her very presence was an affront to the natural order of galactic society. One day, as Zoe was leaving her advanced quantum mechanics class, Drex and his cohort cornered her in a deserted hallway. Well, Drex hissed, his forked tongue flicking menacingly. If it isn't the pet human, enjoying your little moment in the spotlight. Zoe stood her ground, heart racing but voice steady. I'm just here to learn. Drex, same as you. Drex's scales rippled with barely contained anger. You don't belong here. Your primitive species is centuries behind the rest of us. It's time someone put you in your place. As Drex advanced, scales gleaming and claws extended, Zoe's mind raced. She knew she couldn't overpower the Draconi physically, but maybe she didn't have to. Before you do anything stupid, Zoe said calmly, you might want to consider the consequences. Attacking me won't just get you expelled. It could spark an interstellar incident. Is that really what you want? Drex hesitated, his reptilian eyes narrowing. Zoe pressed her advantage. Besides, if humans are so primitive, why are you so threatened by me? Surely my presence here is no threat to a superior species like yours. The barb struck home. Drex's cohort shifted uncomfortably, looking to their leader. After a tense moment, Drex lowered his claws. This isn't over, human, he snarled before stalking away with his group. Zoe let out a shaky breath, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She had stood up to the bully not with physical strength, but with quick thinking and diplomatic skill. It was a small victory, but an important one. As news of the confrontation spread, Zoe found herself receiving messages of support from students and faculty alike. Professor Xylith called her to his office, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with concern. Are you all right, Zoe? I've heard about the incident with the Draconi students. Zoe nodded. I'm fine, Professor. Nothing I couldn't handle. Avis Antony twitched thoughtfully. You've shown remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. It hasn't gone unnoticed. In fact, the Council has expressed interest in your progress here. Zoe's eyes widened. The Galactic Council. They're aware of me. Indeed. Your presence here is something of an experiment, Zoe. Many were skeptical about admitting a student from a non-member world, especially one as contentious as Earth. But you've exceeded expectations in many ways. Pride swelled in Zoe's chest, tempered by a sense of responsibility. I'm just trying my best, Professor. I know I'm representing more than just myself here. Avila's expression softened. And that, Zoe, is precisely why you were chosen. Your awareness of the larger implications of your actions, combined with your adaptability and quick thinking, are qualities that will serve you well here. As Zoe left the professor's office, her mind whirled with the implications of their conversation. The Galactic Council was watching her progress. The stakes were even higher than she had realized. Over the next few weeks, Zoe threw herself into her studies with renewed vigor. She spent long hours in the library, absorbing knowledge from across the galaxy. In practical labs, she pushed herself to master alien technologies that seemed to defy the laws of physics as she knew them. Her hard work began to pay off. In comparative planetary ecosystems, Zoe's unique perspective on Earth's biodiversity led to fascinating discussions about evolutionary pathways and environmental adaptation. During a group project in interstellar diplomacy, Zoe's skill at finding common ground between vastly different species proved invaluable. Her team's presentation on resolving a hypothetical trade dispute between silicon-based and carbon-based life forms earned top marks. Even in physical education classes, which So had dreaded due to the vast physiological differences between species, she found ways to excel. While she couldn't match the raw strength of a petrosapian like Korg or the fluid grace of a nebulon like Vaporia, her human agility and endurance often gave her an edge in team sports and endurance challenges. One day, as Zoe was leaving the anti-gravity gymnasium after a particularly grueling session, she overheard a conversation that made her pause. "Did you see the human in class today?" a voice whispered. The way she adapted to the changing gravity fields was impressive. "I know," another voice replied. "I heard Professor Xylith talking about her with some other faculty. They're saying she might be the key to humanity joining the Galactic Alliance." Zoe's heart skipped a beat. Humanity joining the Galactic Alliance. The implications were staggering. It would mean access to advanced technologies, protection from hostile species, and a voice in interstellar affairs. But it also meant increased scrutiny and responsibility on a cosmic scale. As she made her way back to her quarters, Zoe's mind raced with possibilities. She had come to the Academy to learn, to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. But now it seemed she might be paving the way for her entire species to join the galactic community. The weight of this realization settled on her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a challenge. Zoe knew the road ahead would be difficult. There would be more cultural clashes, more misunderstandings, and likely more confrontations with those who saw humanity as a threat. But as she looked out her window at the swirling nebula beyond, Zoe felt a surge of determination. She would face whatever challenges came her way, not just for herself, but for Earth and all of humanity. Little did she know, those challenges were about to become far more intense than she could have imagined. As Zoe prepared for bed, blissfully unaware, forces were aligning both for and against her. The next phase of her journey at the Galactic Academy would test her in ways she never thought possible, pushing the limits of her intellect, her adaptability, and her very understanding of what it meant to be human in a vast and complex universe. The true trial was about to begin, and the fate of Earth's place in the galactic community hung in the balance. The challenge, the Academy's grand amphitheater, buzzed with anticipation. Students of all species filled the tiered seating, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. At the center stage, Dean Xylith's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with barely contained excitement as he addressed the assembled crowd. Esteemed students and faculty, his melodic voice resonated through the hall. "It is my great pleasure to announce this cycle's galactic trials." A wave of murmurs and excited clicks swept through the audience. Zoe, seated between Korg and Vaporia, leaned forward with interest. She had heard whispers about the trials but knew little of their significance. Xylith continued, "As is tradition, each major species group will select a champion to represent them in a series of academic and physical challenges. The victor will bring great honor to their people and earn a coveted internship with the Galactic Council itself." Zoe's heart raced. This could be the opportunity she'd been waiting for, a chance to prove humanity's worth on a grand stage. And this year, Xylith's gaze seemed to find Zoe in the crowd. "We are making an unprecedented decision. Earth will be allowed to field a champion." The amphitheater erupted in a cacophony of reactions. Some students cheered, others protested, and many simply seemed shocked. Zoe sat stunned, the implications slowly sinking in. Korg's crystalline hand gently patted her shoulder. "This is your moment, Zoe. You've earned it." As the assembly dispersed, Zoe found herself surrounded by a mix of congratulatory and skeptical peers. Ixil chittered excitedly. "Oh, how thrilling. You must participate, Zoe. Think of the scientific insights we could gain." Not everyone shared Ixil's enthusiasm. Drex, the Draconi who had confronted Zoe earlier, shouldered his way through the crowd. "This is an outrage," he hissed. "Humans aren't even members of the Alliance. She has no right to compete." Professor Xylith materialized beside them, his form shimmering with authority. "The decision has been made, Drex. Ms. Chen's performance at the Academy has earned her species this opportunity. I suggest you focus on your own preparation for the trials." As Drex scupped away, Sylith turned to Zoe. "The choice is yours, of course, but know that this is more than just a competition. It's a chance to shape the future of Earth's relationship with the galactic community." Zoe nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I understand, Professor. I won't let Earth down." The next few weeks were a blur of intense preparation. Zoe's already grueling schedule became even more demanding as she balanced her regular studies with specialized training for the trials. Her friends rallied around her, each offering assistance in their own unique ways. Korg helped her build physical endurance, teaching her petrosapian techniques for conserving energy during prolonged exertion. Vaporia tutored her in advanced spatial awareness, crucial for navigating the often mind-bending challenges of galactic competitions. Ixil drilled her relentlessly on obscure scientific facts from across the known universe. Late one night, as Zoe pored over star charts in the library, she felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She looked up to see Lyra, an ethereal Lumini whose body seemed composed of living light. "You're working yourself to exhaustion," Lyra said, her voice a soft whisper of photons. Zoe rubbed her tired eyes. "I have to. The other champions have been preparing their whole lives for this. I'm starting from behind." Lyra's form shimmered thoughtfully. "Perhaps, but you have something they don't. A fresh perspective. Don't lose that in your attempt to match them. Your humanity is your strength, not a weakness to be overcome." The words stuck with Zoe, a reminder that she wasn't just here to imitate other species, but to showcase humanity's unique qualities. As the day of the trials approached, tension mounted across the academy. The chosen champions from each species group were treated like celebrities. Drex, representing the Dracomi, strutted through the halls with even more arrogance than usual. The Arthenian champion, a prodigy named Sixtol, was rumored to have a mathematical mind unrivaled in the sector. The night before the competition, Zoe found herself unable to sleep. She wandered the quiet corridors of the academy, eventually finding her way to the observation deck. The vast expanse of stars stretched out before her, a humbling reminder of the scale of the challenge she faced. "Impressive, isn't it?" a voice said behind her. Zoe turned to see Professor Xylith, his bioluminescence dimmed to a soft glow. "Professor, I didn't expect anyone else to be up at this hour." Xylith moved to stand beside her, his gaze fixed on the cosmic vista. "In times of great importance, sleep often eludes even the wisest among us." He turned to Zoe, his compound eyes studying her intently. "Are you prepared for tomorrow?" Zoe took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be, I suppose. But I can't help feeling small. The universe is so vast and Earth is just one tiny part of it. How can I possibly represent all of humanity?" Evelith's Antony twitched in what Zoe had come to recognize as a smile. "My dear, that very feeling, that sense of wonder and humility in the face of the cosmos, is precisely what makes you a worthy representative. Many species lose that as they advance, becoming arrogant and set in their ways. Humanity's youth gives you an adaptability and drive that is rare and precious." His words bolstered Zoe's confidence. As the first rays of the binary suns began to peek over the asteroid's horizon, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Win or lose, she would show the galaxy the best of what humanity had to offer. The trials began with great fanfare. The Academy's massive holodrome had been transformed into a series of fantastical environments, each designed to test different aspects of the champion's abilities. The first challenge was a test of problem-solving and adaptability. Zoe found herself in a simulated alien jungle, tasked with navigating to a specific point while dealing with rapidly changing conditions. As she swung on vines and leaped over holographic chasms, she could see her competitors in their own parallel versions of the challenge. Drex used his claws and natural agility to great effect, taking an early lead. But when the simulation suddenly shifted to an Arctic environment, he struggled to adapt. Zoe, drawing on her knowledge of Earth's varied biomes, quickly adjusted her strategy. She fashioned crude snowshoes from leaves and vines, allowing her to traverse the snowy terrain efficiently. Remarkable resourcefulness from the human champion, the announcer's voice boomed. She's taken the lead. Zoe's heart soared as she crossed the finish line first, but she knew this was just the beginning. The next trial was a test of scientific knowledge and quick thinking. The champions were presented with a series of complex galactic phenomena and asked to explain and predict their behavior. Zixitol, the Arthenian, excelled here, their multifaceted eyes taking in vast amounts of data simultaneously. Zoe held her own, drawing on her intensive study sessions. When presented with a peculiar type of neutron star, she even managed to impress the judges with a novel theory about its formation based on principles of Earth physics. As the day wore on, the challenges grew increasingly difficult. A zero-gravity obstacle course tested their spatial awareness and coordination. A diplomatic simulation pushed their ability to negotiate between conflicting alien cultures. Through it all, Zoe drew on every ounce of her training and natural human adaptability. By the final trial, the field had narrowed to just 3 competitors: Zoe, Drex, and Zixitol. The holodrome transformed into a vast starship bridge, with each champion taking the captain's chair of their own vessel. Your final challenge, Dean Xylith announced, is to navigate your ships through a treacherous region of space, dealing with everything from ion storms to hostile craft. You must reach the designated coordinates while preserving your crew and ship integrity. As the simulation began, Zoe's hands flew over the unfamiliar controls. She had studied starship operations, but this was her first time piloting one. She could see Drex aggressively pushing his ship to its limits, while Zixitol took a more calculated approach. Zoe chose a middle path, balancing speed with caution. When a massive ion storm appeared on her sensors, she remembered an old Earth sailing technique. Instead of fighting against the ionic currents, she adjusted her ship's shields to ride them, using the storm's energy to propel her forward. Ingenious, the announcer exclaimed. The human champion is surfing the ion storm. As they neared the final coordinates, proximity alarms blared. A swarm of hostile drones appeared, firing salvos of energy weapons. Drex's ship, already damaged from his reckless piloting, took heavy fire. Zixitol's more conservative approach left them too far behind. Zoe's mind raced. The drone's attack pattern seemed familiar somehow. Then it hit her. It was like the swarming behavior of Earth insects. Predicting their movements, she laid down a carefully timed series of blast patterns, disrupting the swarm's coordination. With a final burst of speed, Zoe's ship crossed the finish line just moments before Zixitol's. The holodrome erupted in cheers and shocked exclamations. As the simulation faded, Zoe found herself standing on the central platform with the other champions. Dean Xylith approached, his bioluminescence blazing with excitement. Never in the history of the galactic trials have we seen such an unprecedented outcome, he announced. Zoe Chen of Earth, you have not only competed admirably but emerged victorious. You have earned the internship with the Galactic Council and brought great honor to your species. As the weight of her achievement sank in, Zoe felt a mixture of elation and disbelief. She had done it. She had proven that humanity deserved a place among the stars. But even as she basked in the glow of victory, a small part of her wondered about the challenges yet to come. An internship with the Galactic Council would bring new responsibilities and trials. And not everyone would be happy about a human rising to such a prominent position. As if sensing her thoughts, Drex caught her eye from across the platform. His reptilian features were twisted in a mixture of grudging respect and simmering resentment. This victory, Zoe realized, was just the beginning of a much larger journey. For now, though, she allowed herself to celebrate. As her friends swarmed around her, offering congratulations and joyous embraces, Zoe looked up at the holographic stars twinkling above. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting, unaware of how its solitary student had just changed the course of its galactic future. The trials were over, but Zoe's greatest challenge, representing humanity on the galactic stage, was just beginning. Triumph of the Human Spirit, 500 words. As Earth's provisional member status in the Galactic Alliance became official, Zoe found herself at the forefront of a new era of interstellar diplomacy. Her internship with the Galactic Council expanded beyond her wildest dreams as she became a key liaison between Earth and the myriad alien civilizations of the Alliance. The transition wasn't without its challenges. Some conservative factions still resisted the idea of a primitive species joining their ranks, so faced skepticism, veiled threats, and attempts to undermine her position. But for every obstacle, she found unexpected allies and innovative solutions. One pivotal moment came during a crisis on the frontier world of Nexus Prime. A devastating ion storm threatened to destroy the planet's protective shields, endangering millions of lives. As the Council debated complex technological solutions, Zoe suggested a radical approach inspired by Earth's history of dealing with natural disasters. Drawing on techniques used to divert hurricanes and wildfires, Zoe proposed a method to seethe the ion storm with neutralizing particles, dissipating its energy harmlessly into space. The plan was risky, untested on this scale, but time was running out. Sometimes the old ways can solve new problems. Zoe argued before the Council. Earth's history is full of examples of turning nature's fury to our advantage. Let us show you what humanity can contribute. Against considerable opposition, the Council approved her plan. Zoe worked tirelessly with a diverse team of scientists and engineers to implement the solution. As the seeding ships launched into the roiling storm, the entire Alliance held its breath. Hours later, shears erupted across Nexus Prime as the ion storm dissipated, leaving the planet's shields intact. Zoe's innovative thinking had saved millions of lives and showcased the unique perspective humanity could bring to galactic problems. In the aftermath, support for Earth's full membership in the Alliance surged. Zoe's coalition of interspecies cooperation became a model for cultural exchange programs across the galaxy. The Academy saw an influx of human students, eager to follow in her footsteps. As Zoe stood on the observation deck of the Council's space station, watching ships from 100 worlds come and go, she reflected on her journey. From a lone human in an alien school to a respected voice in galactic affairs, she had come further than she'd ever imagined. But more importantly, she had opened the door for all of humanity to join the cosmic community. As Earth took its place among the stars, Zoe knew that the greatest adventures were still to come. The universe, vast and full of wonders, awaited the touch of human ingenuity, adaptability, and spirit. And Zoe Chen, once just a student from a small blue planet, had helped light the way.